This is the Horse Radio Network.
Hey, you're listening to Adulting with Horses, the best place to be if you can't be at the barn. We are your co-hosts and equine authors, Heather Wallace and Natalie Keller Reinert. As crazy horse girls, we don't take ourselves too seriously in the saddle or out. We celebrate the things that make us different. Join us as we talk about horses and pop culture and get a little weird in a fun way. Thank you for being a little weird with us. Oh my God.
So you're wiped out, huh?
I'm like a zombie today.
Well, you're going to have to pick it up because you, my friend, have a horse expo in 2 days. 3 days? 2 days.
Why do I do this to myself?
I think you were influenced by me.
Maybe.
And I'm such a good example because I only burn myself out and have like massive breakdowns. So you should definitely do as I do always and forever.
I legit left. So I woke up this morning. I was like, oh, I had a great night's sleep, blah. And then I start moving around and I go to my first client because, of course I work the day after I get home. Like there's no day off in between. And I got out of there and I was like, oh my God, I feel like I might actually need to take a nap. Like at 10:30 in the morning.
I frequently wake up like that. That's not normal. You don't wake up going, I'm going to need a nap.
Did we do like a Freaky Friday situation when I slept in your house and we switched like personalities?
Oh my gosh. I do have boundless energy and I'm working 80 hours a day. And I've ridden my horse twice in 2 days.
Oh, it's official. You're Heather today, this week. Yeah. When I see you in Harrisburg, let's switch back, okay? Because my body isn't used to this.
Oh no, I'm going to be wearing a giant burgundy or maroon hat and maybe fringe. I don't know. Maybe I'll go buy some chaps.
Should we dye her
swaggering
purple?
Yeah. I wish. I saw a picture of a woman earlier today with purple hair that I don't usually like. And I was like, damn, she looks freaking fantastic. But don't expect it from me. It's not going to happen. Because I'm afraid of chemicals.
I'm a big fan of Overtone. It's like chemical free and it's a coloring conditioner. So it washes out.
Yeah. I got to find that.
It's great. That's actually what I use because I don't use permanent dye.
I cut my hair off yesterday.
Holy shit. You cut your hair.
Yeah. I cut off like a foot.
There was a rumor going around. I thought I saw a Facebook post about this and I was like, no, Natalie would never do that. But since you're channeling me and you've got fringe.
I have a little fringe.
Stop. It looks great.
I guess so I can pull my hair over my face and look mysterious.
Stop being so pretty and like framing your face.
Serious. Do you like it?
I love it, actushe.
Excellent.
Does it feel lighter?
Yeah, it felt lighter as she was cutting it. I was like, oh, wow, I feel a difference. She said, how long has it been? I was like, I don't want to tell you. 4 years.
Really?
Yeah. Yeah.
Did she cringe and cry or was she like victorious?
Yeah.
Did she hold it up and be like, ha ha?
She didn't. I actually forgot to look and see what was on the ground, which is disappointing because it was probably pretty terrifying.
Wow.
But she gave me a little bit. She's like, why do people do that? And I'm like, hair is your job. So naturally you're going to think about your hair. But my job, hair never comes into it until I realize I'm going to meet a lot of people. And then I think, I should probably look semi put together.
Now I know that somebody body snatched you.
You didn't, if I had taken you into my closet and you had seen all my professional attire, you would have been like, what? You didn't know corporate Natalie, but she was real. She was powerful. And miserable. She was miserable. But
miserably powerful.
Miserably powerful. That's a thing.
Yeah, that's what my husband is right now.
Yeah.
So I see it in action. And also why I don't work a 9-to-5 job anymore.
Yeah, 9 to 5, 7 to 6, whatever it actually is.
Yeah, now I work more hours, but at least they're my hours that I make myself,
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I don't actually. I tried to wean myself off of working 40 hours because I was like 40 hours is a construct, right? It's, it was a compromise between working 100 hours and working no hours, and starving to death was the unions were like 40 hours. And I said, I don't have to work 40 hours. I should work less. So sometimes I do and sometimes I don't, but I tend to work basically from 10 to 4 and then I go out and do farm stuff, which is why nothing gets done. And I'm way behind on all my projects, but
Yeah, but you're happy.
yeah, it keeps me a little calmer and a little healthier.
Now I have a question for you because I got to meet Manny and little Ben. Now, did Ben feel any different for you when you rode him?
I think he did.
First sessions are hard because it's like you're kind of starting to take away some like built-in tension for a while, but I was just wondering if you felt anything after I worked on him.
Well, the one thing I definitely noticed is he's quieter when I was grooming him. I spent more time on him when I was grooming him, first off. And he would get very drowsy. So that was nice. I added in the belly lifts and the tail stretching and sort of like the like zhuzhing along the spine. And I also curry combed him like a lot deeper, like deep tissue massage. And I was very into
Nice.
that. So I spent a lot more time on him. And then I had only absorbed a fraction of what you were telling me about moving his shoulders under saddle, because I think because Sarah was talking to me also, and like there's
Yes.
a lot going on. Was we were talking about it at the book signing event at WEC, so there was a lot going on. But I just kept going back to opening rein, moving the shoulders in between everything we did, and he was definitely stretchier, like
Awesome.
for sure stretchier. So yeah, I think it seems pretty good.
I'm so glad to hear that. Yeah, he gets kind of stuck right at the shoulder and then it affects everything going forward. So I think those are great exercises for you to do.
Yeah, hopefully he stays feeling pretty good, and I appreciate it. I appreciate all of that body work goodness and juju because I certainly don't know how to do it, and I really should learn. But you are an expert master queen of body.
Yeah, my husband wishes. Only for horses. No, what I thought it was funny when you were like, "What is this witchcraft?"
Well, you were pressing in one place and his muscles were like doing their own thing in another place, and it did kind of look like a bubbling potion. That was deeply unexpected.
I often like to do the unexpected, right? No, it's cool. I love my job. So I always do that. Like anytime I meet someone's horse, I kind of feel like it's a way to give back a
Yeah,
little bit.
because
Especially because you let me sleep in your son's room.
I
So
need you to give me so much stuff back. I don't get enough from you.
it's a very unequal partnership, is what you're
This
saying.
really is. I do everything and carry the weight of both of us. Not at all. Oh, you're an easy house guest. Please.
I am. I'm pretty
Oh,
self-sufficient.
you really are. And you didn't mind that I slept till 9:30, so that was nice.
Uh, I also know you. So I was like, if she
Yeah.
gets up before 9, like she might be crabby. So it's just better to
Mm-hmm.
let her sleep.
Yep. I'm a pretty grouchy baby.
Well, I'm grouchy at night. So like once the sun goes down, I'm like a sundowner, right? I've got like sundowner syndrome. Once the sun
Hmm.
starts to go down, like my chances of having energy are severely depleted and I just get crankier and crankier. So I can completely understand that about
Yeah.
you, that you're not a morning person.
Well, I started working nights when I was like 16 and just sort of continued, unless I was working on a farm, or sometimes when I was doing both. I was generally working until midnight. And then when I started working at Disney, I was working till 3 or 4 o'clock in the morning, like all summer long and during the holidays. So that's just, that's ingrained in me at this point.
Wow. That makes me more tired just thinking about it. I slept like 9 hours last night and I could literally go down for a 3-hour nap right now.
There's nothing better than that first night in your own bed.
Yeah, it was really nice. Everybody did miss me. I walked into chaos, though, as per usual.
Right.
I mean, they were like, "How's your vacation?" Just kidding. We're gonna throw you in the deep end.
Oh my God.
So my 3 days away was quite glorious, and I missed it immediately.
Yeah, I bet you're already plotting another like, oh wait, you are.
I wait, I am because I'm already going away
Ah.
again very soon.
I kind of can't believe it either, like that we have a whole nother weekend of people and horses and books and
And each
like
other.
yes, and each other.
You get me 2 weekends in a row. Aren't you lucky?
I feel really excited about this. I feel like I'm going to get super used to your presence and then I'm going to be ripped away and sad. So we'll have to plan something
We might have
together.
to. Well,
I
and you
think
know
we
what we
do.
should plan is this coming weekend is our anniversary of when we came up with the podcast.
Yes, it's our podcast idea anniversary. Oh, I remember it so clearly. Driving along, and we're both just like, you're like, so I was thinking about starting a podcast, and I was like, wait, I have wanted to do a podcast for so long. Can we please do this together? And it was fate.
Yes, I didn't want to do it by myself at all. It's way more fun to do it with somebody else, especially someone who's had as many jobs as you have. Uh, but I think that was the fruit wine talking too. The fruit wine was like, yes, you should do this and you should do it in a very silly way.
Oh, yeah. We came up with some really crazy stuff that weekend. Some very non-horse related, just general insanity before we settled on this idea.
Good thing we edited down.
Yes.
It is good, and it's funny every time I see Glenn Hebert from Horses in the Morning, who's a friend of ours. He's always pulls me to the side and gives me these great nuggets of wisdom, and I feel like he's imparting some kind of glorious knowledge upon us that we must take very, very seriously. So we'll have to talk about that because he had some really great ideas for
Awesome.
us.
Onward and
Yeah.
upward. I love podcasts. Like, I'm obsessed with podcasts. I listen
I'm
to so
obsessed with
many.
talking, so yay.
I like I was telling Glenn in Ocala was I started listening to like the hot talk radio format when I was a teenager, and it's not something that was in every market, but there was a very strong talk station in Orlando, and I started listening to it. Actually, it would be right around now, like this time of year, when I was 16, because there was a tornado outbreak in Central Florida, and it actually was the worst tornado outbreak Central Florida's ever had, like massive tornadoes. And of course it was overnight. And in the morning, I wanted to know what was going on. And I turned on this radio station where people were talking about it. And I got hooked on talk radio, like completely hooked. And I'm not talking like political, weird, blowhard talk radio, but just groups of people who were good together and funny, taking calls and doing bits. And so yeah, so we're not taking calls and doing bits yet, but I can see it. I can see it coming.
That might be in our future. I think what really stuck out to me was that you think I'm funny.
You're always telling me I'm funny, and I'm like, it's like the biggest joke of all time.
No, you've got a really nice dry humor. I've got a very obvious kind of dirty humor, but yours is much drier. So I enjoy it immensely. It's very sarcastic.
Yeah, I guess the problem with that kind of humor is you can't really control it. It just does what it wants. Like I don't really know when it's
Unrestrained.
coming. We don't really plan it. I just say what's
That's
on
why
my
it's
mind.
amazing. But I like that because we're not scripted. Like we come in, we're like, oh, maybe we should talk about this theme today, and that's about it. There's no, oh, I put together some ideas. There's no, oh, I want to talk about these points. It's like let's just go and see what
Yeah,
happens.
I did not ask for more work when I signed up
Right.
to do a podcast.
We're too busy. That's ridiculous.
Prep?
Well, and
Are you kidding me? Show prep? Get out of here.
what
I
is
could
this?
never.
I could barely do the show notes.
I think about show notes gross. I think about it kind of vaguely while I'm riding or mucking out. I'm like, gotta talk to Heather tomorrow. Forget what we're talking about. And then I think about something else.
Well, so this one I actually thought was really interesting. So when I told you the idea, it came actually from the HRN auditors group. And if you're listening to us, we are on the Horse Radio Network. And so we're part of the auditors group. And this one woman had mentioned that she really had some concerns with her boarding situation. And so, was there any podcast episodes on things to look for when you're looking for a boarding barn? So I thought this was the perfect thing to talk about because I'd been through a similar situation. I call it my Goldilocks situation because I was at a big barn and then I was at someone's backyard barn and then I was at a small hunter jumper facility. So I've moved around, one was too big, one was too small, one was just right. And I actually did a little bit of a post about this on the Timid Writer like years and years and years ago. So I thought it might be fun to kind of, talk about it in a refreshed way.
Yeah. Boarding is, boarding's tough and it's not for me, but I know why it is for some people. And it's not always just a time concern. Sometimes it's about goals. Sometimes it's about reaching certain levels, things like that. And you really need to be like a competitive barn with the right trainer to do it. And then sometimes it's about, living in a congested place or not having the ability to get out to the countryside to have your own property. And some people just don't want to take care of their own horse every day, which
yeah, or they travel a lot.
Yeah.
I love to travel. And at this time of my life, I also live in a very congested area. So that's kind of that. But in some ways, I think I really enjoy the social aspect. I like to go to the barn when it's quieter. But there's something to be said about sometimes when I'm feeling social, going and hanging out and seeing the barn rats and watching other people's lessons and kind of, watching some of the people who ride a lot more confidently than I do. It's, it can be really nice to do the boarding barn. As long as it's the right fit, because there can be some really toxic situations out there.
Absolutely. I've been in many of them.
Me too.
I bet, and if a place gives you a bad feeling in the pit of your stomach when you pull up, like you don't know what you're going to find when you go into the barn, or you're not sure where your horse is going to be, or if your stuff has been left alone, or if your arch nemesis is already there plotting against you, then it is time to look for a new position, a new facility. Though you shouldn't feel kind of sick when you go to the barn. And it probably shouldn't get to that point, but that was always when I kind of knew it was time for me to go, was that I genuinely felt kind of sick to my stomach when I was pulling in. Disaster.
Yeah. Or it made you not want to go to the barn because someone might be there that you didn't want to see. That did happen to me in one of my situations. And I found that the person who owned the barn and we just didn't gel as human beings. We just didn't hit it off. And then I started feeling targeted. And I started to feel judged. And I was like, you know what? I don't need this. This is supposed to be my fun time. So I left.
It's got to be your fun time. And sometimes I really see people posting they're not sure how to leave their barn. And the answer is you just have to say, hey, this is not working out for either of us. And I have located a new barn. And what is your move out policy? Because some barns, you signed a 30-day notice thing, and some just want you to get the hell out. And you might as well just find out straight from the manager, whoever's in charge, what's your move out policy? We're not getting, what we need, either of us, from this relationship. And you just got to go,
Yeah. And I found, because I've left a couple barns, and I found that I always think I leave relatively on good terms because you kind of, if you're blunt about it and just say, hey, I'm leaving, they have people leave all the time. They have new people coming in, as long as you give them notice. But it can be tricky because you always want to find where you're going first before you commit to leaving the other barn in case they do decide to boot you.
True. Yeah, you need to have a stall set up, ready to go.
Ready to go. So I thought maybe we talk about some things to look for because we are going to do a separate bonus episode on, red flags. So for me, size matters.
Okay. All right.
And don't take it
all out on the table.
Don't take it to a dirty place.
There's no other place to take it.
I did kind of lead you down that road.
Yeah.
For me, when I started out and I bought Ferris, we were at a big equestrian facility. They had over 90 horses. I was taking lessons there. I had been a working student there. And I thought this is going to be a great fit. But as a horse owner, it can be very different than being a lesson student. So I found that I never had any time in the ring to myself, or I was having to dodge lesson students all the time who, were still working on steering and things like that. And I decided like I didn't want to feel pressure to show, which a lot of the bigger boarding facilities really like to focus on. Again, something different for everybody. But so for me, it ended up feeling like maybe it wasn't the right fit for us. Ultimately, though, that's not why I left. But for me, I really like kind of a smaller, more, I don't know, comfortable feel, right?
Okay. Mm-hmm.
Like it's hard to explain. Like when you're looking at colleges, right? Like I could
Yeah.
have I could have looked at a really big school, really small school, or something in the middle. And so that's kind of what I like. I like something in the middle.
Yeah, I struggle to think of what I would like at this point because in my past, I've been really competitive and I've been at the big barn, and I've been really, really non-competitive and been in somebody's backyard. And I think the middle barn that you're talking about is probably what most of us want, and it might be the hardest thing to find, because they don't have the volume that makes it financially feasible. Whereas a backyard barn is going to come with, you have to have perfect chemistry with the barn owner because you're on their property.
Yeah, it's a
In
lot
there.
more intimate.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, it's a lot more intimate. When I went to a backyard barn, one of the women there would come and sit and watch me ride. We weren't friends. She just wanted to sit and watch me and offer criticism. And that felt a little too close, like a little overstepping of the boundary. So I knew pretty quickly that wasn't for me.
Now, I had a perfect backyard barn situation for a while, which was the place where I met Ben, and Ben's mom, as we called her until I became Ben's mom. We hit it off instantaneously. Like, we like to ride together. We like to take pictures of each other with our horses. It was like perfect horse girl relationship. And but she had lots of toxic boarders go in and out of the place while I was just the constant who sat there and gave her advice whenever one of them would go nuts again. So that was just pure chemistry. It wasn't a perfect boarding situation like in terms of horse facilities. There was no arena. We kind of cobbled together jumps and there wasn't any grazing. But from a person to person relationship and for the horse's health, they were taken care of. It worked out really well. So I think that you should plan for compromises and you have to decide what you're going to compromise on. To me, having a good relationship with whoever's in charge, the manager, the owner, and not compromising on how the horses are fed and looked after. Those are the two things that everything else I can kind of like. The arena might suck, or maybe the location's not great, or, it's really light on amenities. But if I know the horses are always going to be fed and watered and I trust the manager and get along with them, then I'll probably place that barn pretty high on my list.
I think that's great because honestly, for me, the people that run the barn or are there, that kind of are drawn to that barn is the most important aspect for me as a very sensitive human being, right?
Yeah.
I mean, I'm a bit of a timid rider. I do things a little differently with my horses than, the typical that a lot of people do. And if I don't get along with the people there, it really ruins everything for me. And I like to think I'm pretty easy to get along with, but yeah, sometimes you just don't jive with people.
Mm-hmm.
And when you find, I joke around, but I'm not joking because my trainer, who has been my trainer for a long time, even after switching barns, she ended up leasing this barn that I love. And I told her, I said, you're never getting rid of me until I have my own property. And it's because I love her. I know her level of care is spectacular. We get along well, really, really well. And everything else kind of gets figured out.
Have you ever skipped on amenities that you really, really wanted because you liked the barn you were at more
Oh,
than going off
absolutely.
fine? Mm-hmm.
So my barn now, it doesn't have any trail access. And trail riding is my favorite, but I'm very nervous trailering.
Right.
And I was at a barn that you would walk across the street and be in 300 acres of trails that were horse friendly. But I only lasted 6 months there because I didn't get along with the people.
Right.
And their
So
paddocks were terrible.
Oh. What about, so what do you consider a terrible paddock? I'm kind of interested in that because I'm used to, in Florida, we tend to have either a huge pasture with too many horses in it, or we have small sandy paddocks with no grazing. Which of those would you choose?
Either. This was none of those. I don't mind a slightly hilly paddock because I think it's really good for your horse's muscles and ligaments. I don't even mind a lot of trees or what happened was there was a lot of, how do we say this? The paddocks were oddly spaced out. They were constantly switching horses in between paddocks. And so the herd dynamics were constantly changing.
Yeah.
And it was more rock than grass or dirt.
Rock.
It was rocky. It was really,
Oh.
really, really rocky. So there was a lot of stone bruises and things like that. And then there also were things like, I don't know, pieces of machinery just randomly hanging out.
Oh no, redneck machinery. Not putting
A
stuff
little
away.
bit.
But not
And it's
putting
a
stuff away.
beautiful
Disease.
home.
That's something that I need cleanliness. You got to put your shit away. And that extends beyond the tack room.
Wait. Hold on. I think this is funny because you have a saddle and all your barn stuff sitting in your kitchen.
Yeah, because I'm going to leave it outside? It belongs I don't have a tack room. It goes in my kitchen. If you leave your saddle outside in the state of Florida, you are a masochist. You are destroying your leather. Humidity and bugs are going to eat it.
Yes, you're
That
right.
is
You're
wrong. Right. Don't do it. Hey, I know you're listening to me. Don't do it. Take your saddle in your house and be kind to it. Yes, both of my saddles are on a saddle rack in my kitchen. That is because I do not have a tack room. My kitchen becomes my tack room. It is put away where it belongs.
But it's organized.
My brush bag is in my kitchen too for a very good reason. Do you know what that reason is?
So there's no snakes in it?
Yes. And spiders. I don't want to open my bag and have a treat waiting for me inside. I just want my brushes. And I didn't even show you the kitchen cabinet that is all horse stuff. But
that's amazing.
One of my kitchen cabinets is just horse stuff. It's like neatly folded, but it's all the stuff that I don't use regularly or my extra saddle trees because I bought a whole package of saddle trees. All that stuff is folded up in a kitchen cabinet.
But it's organized.
It's organized. But like even outside, like, yeah, don't leave random machinery out there. Put it away. It has a place. And if it doesn't have a place, put it neatly to one side. Don't just leave your stuff around. You're not a child. So that's a huge one for me. Red flag, big time. And if we would have a different episode of red flags, but like put your stuff away, please, for God's sake. Sorry, didn't mean to go down that tangent.
No, it's okay. It's okay. Well, and when we're talking about amenities, so like, I love the trail access. That's in my opinion, the only thing that I wish I really had access to, but it's not worth being at a barn that I don't like.
And it's amazing. I completely agree with you. And it's amazing what amenities you can live without and what you can cobble together sometimes with help from other people at your new and wonderful amenity-free barn who want this stuff. Do you know, I was a groom for an upper level eventer, and we didn't have a covered wash stall. Our wash stall was out next to the barn. And so if it was storming, you couldn't even hose off your horse, or you did, and you pray to God you didn't get hit by lightning while you were doing it. And it was hot. It was out in the sun. I was like, how do we not have a wash stall? You ride at all of the 5-star events every year. We have 5-star horses in this barn, and I'm schlepping everybody outside. It made no sense. We had a cross-country course, but no covered wash rack.
That was their priorities,
I don't know what that was. We should have had a wash rack.
Well, I think one of the things a lot of people look for, right? And I see this on everybody's search for a boarding facility is a lot of people want an indoor arena.
Yeah, I get
I
it.
have
I rode up
opinions on that.
north. When I was a teenager, I moved to Maryland from Florida, and the first barn had an indoor arena, and I was like, "Oh my God, this is the greatest thing that's ever happened." But then as the winter went on, I realized that the ground was really hard and it was really dusty, and we were always crashing into each other. And I went to a barn that didn't have an indoor arena because it had collapsed in an ice storm the year before, and
Whoops.
we, I think we did fine. I think we pretty much rode all winter anyway. We were just wore more clothes.
Well, that's it. I did. I've been at, God, I guess most of the barns I've been at have been lucky enough to have indoor arenas. But when I moved to this barn that I'm at now, it just had an outdoor arena, but it's huge.
Hmm.
And it's surrounded on two sides by woods. So I ride all winter long. And for me, I find it really hot in the summer. I just ride when it's shady. So, like when the trees are shading it. But I like it because my horses don't get. Have you ever been in an indoor arena and like the ice slides off the roof and your horse
Yeah.
like randomly freaks? Right? It's
Yes.
because they don't expect anything natural to happen because they're inside and they get kind of habituated.
Yeah.
And then they go outside and it's like, oh my God, there's wind. Like,
Hmm.
man up, like you live outside. Give me a break.
That's what I say to Ben whenever I ride him in the same place where he lives. And he's like, the leaves, they moved. I said, they move all day. You were out here already. Quit acting like you've never seen leaves before. So, I don't know. Probably wouldn't make any difference if I rode him in an indoor and I look for something.
Well, that's
Like
it.
putz.
Sometimes I was going to say, is he looking for an excuse to stop? Because
Yes.
Ferris will do that. He will. He will be like, "Oh my God, there's a bird." I'm like, "You what?"
You've never seen a bird?
Yeah. Meanwhile, again, you live and you're in the paddock 7 hours a day, and you've never freaked out about a bird randomly flying over your head. Then, yeah, it's ridiculous. But yeah, for me, I don't like. I prefer to ride outside. So yeah, it might be a little colder, or the rain might kind of throw a wrench in the plans. But if you dress appropriately and you can be flexible with your riding time, it
Hmm.
hasn't really stopped me at all.
Yeah. And people did just fine without indoors for, I don't know, centuries. Now, covered arenas have gotten very popular in Florida, but there's an easy way around a covered arena, and that's to just leave some shade on your property, people.
Yeah, trees are great.
Oh my goodness. I love how shaded my property is, and I expected that I would be living on a, postage stamp of pasture. Like my last place. My old farm was built on an old cattle ranch, like they had subdivided, 1,000 acres. And so I had 5 acres of this, and it was just pasture, and it was flat, and it was hot. Lots of grass, but at what cost? It was so hot. So with this place, with all the trees, I chose shade over really easy to keep grass because it makes such a difference. It really
No, I
does.
agree. And you're more likely to ride in it when you have shade. Like you're more likely
Yeah.
to, especially with the trees, they help with that heat and humidity.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I think that's important to look at. When it comes to a boarding facility, I think location matters. You have to really think about your hours from work, how long it's going to take you to get to the barn, how often you're going to be able to get there. Because Delight used to be 45 minutes away, and I could only go out there once a week. But by the time I got there, I had barely any time to work with him because I had to
Right.
go home. So, moving him closer, I've been able to work with him more. But, he doesn't have the 5 acre field like he used to.
Right. Yeah. No matter what you do, there's going to be a compromise. So there with the commute, if you can't get there to work them, then all of the amenities in the world aren't going to help you out. You're just paying for your horse. At that point, I hope you're paying for your horse to be turned out because you're going to be bored otherwise.
Well, actually, you said the magic word because I think we need to address like the elephant in the room, and that's price.
Did I say something about price? Yeah, I guess maybe I
You
did.
said you said paying, right? And
Oh yeah.
so you got to keep up with my
Money.
ADHD. I'm way ahead of
You
you.
you know that I have obviously an unlimited font of money because as an author I make
Of
a
a
fortune.
trillion books.
Yeah, yeah. I make so much money every month from books because people just love buying way too many books. No. Boarding to me in Florida is sort of like that's got to be the biggest barrier to horse ownership that I can see now, because it costs about as much as a mortgage payment to
Yes.
keep your horse.
It does.
And that's before amenities. That's before an arena or a grass turnout or something. That's just space to stick them in and someone to muck the stall, hopefully.
Well,
So,
and recently on one of our Facebook groups, there was a conversation about, oh, hey, how much do you think it would be, to board in X zip code? And I guess they were trying to maybe, I don't know, price their own things. First of all, I think, yeah, you should look at the competition, but you also need to, what a lot of horse owners don't do is look at the actual cost of living, right? Like how much
right.
does feed cost? How much does hay cost? Like barn owners need to do that. But one of these barns, which I legit almost vomited because I know who this person is. And she was like, "Oh, it's 2,000 a month. The horse is brought in for you, tacked up, put away. All you need to do is ride, and it's basically a small kidney, and a Disney vacation a month." And I'm like, "What? Like, I'm sorry. For me, I my husband does not want to pay $2,000 a month on board. He just doesn't. And nor should he,
No.
because it's a hobby for us.
Yeah.
And yes, I have two horses, so I realize that is close to what I pay now at a smaller facility. But I work my ass off to pay for it. And again, you got to stick with what's in budget, because I see a lot of people pricing themselves out of it and then not being able to maintain that. And constantly having to move is not good for you or your horse.
I think that before somebody indulges in a full service facility, like where you show up and ride, you pick up your horse, you ride your horse, you hand off your horse, you go home. I think that people should do some soul searching about what their purpose is with owning a horse, number one, because horses are not just for riding. And this is probably not a popular opinion, but you're spending a premium on resources that could be better utilized by other people. What I mean is, if this white glove barn has 30 horses who are all pick up, drop off, groomed by the barn kind of thing, and that's $2,000 a month. Imagine instead that it's 30 horses that are taken care of by their owners and people who really want to be horse people, and it's $1,000 a month. Do you see what I'm saying? I just feel like it's when you offer a service like that that's really not part of the philosophy of horsemanship, then you're just sucking up resources and having rich people utilize them instead of making it open to the people who could really use it. Does that make sense?
No, I agree. And
No.
I think, well, no, I agree, because that brings back that whole conversation we had about privilege and
Yeah.
the lesson riders, right? And money being kind of the focus, and how that wasn't maybe the right barn for them, right? Because you're
Right.
choosing one of these white glove premium service barns. For me, horsemanship is the most important thing, and I ride sometimes as part of it, right?
Mm-hmm.
So I'm going to choose a barn that I see when I go, sees like that they have similar philosophy as me, meaning that, like, oh yeah, you want your horse, I can help you, or do you want to go ahead, just grab him out of the paddock, right? Like, if I'm not allowed in the paddock, that's going to be a red flag for me. Like, I'm not, you know what I mean? Like, I want to be
Yeah.
involved, I want to do the things. That's how I grew up, not being able to do those things, so I was kind of starving
Mm-hmm.
for that. And on the other side, because I don't want to just talk about rich people, but there's people I see posting looking for $250 self-care, right? Or like just dry stall,
Yeah.
where they would pay for everything themselves, right? So there's a huge gamut out there. And I think when you're looking for a boarding facility, you really need to say, like, what is my budget? The location probably will definitely be impacted by that. And, what are my priorities? when it
Yeah.
comes to amenities.
Yeah, and I think most people are going to have to decide what they can do without, like you were talking about before, and stay within their budget. Like, for God's sake, please stay within your budget. You know,
Yes.
there's just I see way too many conversations like, well, this is a little out of my budget. Well, then it's not a budget. If your budget is $600 a month and the barn is $750 a month, what is that extra $150 really buying you that you can't possibly live without? And where's it coming from? Are you putting in more hours at your office for that $150? Are you running a side hustle? Are you, writing emails for a healthcare firm like I had to do for a while? Like, where is it? You're going to have to find it. You can't just expect it to appear, and you can't put an extra grocery bill on your credit card. The money needs to exist. That is why it's a
Yeah,
budget.
and the horses are going to suffer if it doesn't. And then, so many times you're going to see, well, oh, so-and-so hasn't paid their board or they're late every month. You're going to end up losing your spot, and the barn owners are going to kick you out. And then where are you going to be?
Not only that, but I don't think a lot of barn owners mess around anymore when it comes to possessing horses.
They'll take the horse. Yeah.
Yep. It's too easy now to do. Like, it used to be like before social media, I think barn owners kind of lived in vacuums. Like, they were on their own and they're like, well, I don't know what to do. I've got this horse. The owner hasn't paid. Well, now they go on Facebook and 80 different people tell them exactly how to legally possess and sell the horse. So it's not sitting around eating for free.
No. And I think so. For again, going back to like the priorities, I think the relationship with the barn owner or the head trainer is really important. So please, for the love of God, don't just look online. Make an appointment, tour the barn, go while there's lessons, so you can see how the trainers behave with people who are paying to be there, like as lesson students. Talk to other boarders that are there. If you're going to be there every day, you want to make sure that you're fitting in and it's the right vibe, it's the right energy, and the right crowd for you, because like you don't want to get dropped in a mean girl situation.
Yeah. And go when you mean to be there. If you're going to be there every weeknight at 7:00, or then you need to be out there on a weeknight at 7:00. You need to know everything from the traffic situation to who's there and what the arena looks like. Are you going to have room to ride? Are there 6 lessons going on? What's going on out there?
Or is the barn even going to be open, or does it close at 7?
Yeah.
Right? Because sometimes that happens too.
Are there lights? Are you going to be able to ride in the winter? And this is something I think about living in car-centric Florida. Are they suddenly going to like close down the road to build a new interstate, and it's going to take you an extra hour to get there? Because
has that happened to you? I believe it, because it took me like 4 hours to get to you from the airport. So
well, I mean, that was like a whole other region of the state, but that's a whole other story. I've had roads close on me. Whether they're going to pave it for the first time ever and it's 10 miles long, so the paving process is going to take, a year. I've had bridges go out and like flooded out, and the bridge has to be replaced. So the road is just closed and there's no way around it, because a lot of things here are separated by bodies of water, like lakes and swamps and things, and only one road goes through them. And if that road is out, then it could mean a detour over an hour to get to the same place every single day.
Yeah, that sounds like a nightmare.
And that could be in a lot of places, could be that remote, maybe not in New England, but certainly in the West, I guess.
Well, it depends too, because like up here, if you have to reroute, sometimes you have to go in a really heavily trafficked area, or you have to go around, and it takes just as long to get there. But I think that matters. And when you're driving there and you're kind of coming down the property, like take a look. How are the fences maintained? Yeah. Is there rust on the buildings? Are there broken windows? I mean,
are the horses
if they don't have money to, right. If they don't have money to put into the barn, that's a little bit of a concern, because that's actually the reason I left one of the reasons I left the barn I was at initially was, the windows were always broken. One time the barn owner was fixing the windows while I was riding, and it came like in at me. So that was super fun. And there was like broken glass all over the arena. Oh my
God.
Yeah, that was great. And that was just one of the, but I actually looked like there was going to be like an electrical shortage and a fire at any given moment. And I was like, I'm not. So I started becoming very nervous and doing night checks myself. And then I was like, why am I even paying this money for this? So I became a neurotic mess. So it wasn't a right fit. And I guess, I don't know, Natalie, I think you've moved around a little bit with barns. I've moved around a little bit with barns. And sometimes you got to be in it to really see the whole thing.
Mm-hmm.
But if it's not the right fit, don't be afraid to leave and go find it, right? Because
Absolutely.
eventually you will.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's
And
out there.
I have one more thing that no place is going to be ever as good as the one you want to do yourself, right? So
Right.
you got to give someone a little credit and say, okay, well, this isn't my barn. I can't get everything I want.
Mm-hmm.
So I got to focus on the things I can handle and can manage.
Yeah. Now you know why Ben lives at home.
Well, that's my goal too.
Yeah.
I would love that.
I mean, that's not true. If I needed to keep him someplace, I would find someplace. It's not a big deal. For me, I don't travel well. I hate commutes, so I would never ride if he wasn't outside. And I guess I don't share well. So, and I've had to share my horse a lot in the past, and so I just feel very possessive. Like, no touch, don't touch. That's mine. About my
So
horse.
the fact that you let me touch your horse is like huge.
Well, I was getting free body work, so
That's true. You also did have to school me on the proper way to hang a halter.
I just thought that was really appropriate given our last conversation when I said that all halters must hang by their
It
nose
was.
clips. Yeah.
I'm still not doing it right, according to Natalie World. But, I think all these things are really good examples of what, to take into consideration because there's so many different options out there.
Yeah. So we've got a decent list. The number one thing I think we really need to have work out for us is chemistry with the barn management so that our equine philosophy is on the same page. So for me that would be my horse is always eating. He's got hay in front of his face all the time, or he's out on grass. And the place is tidy. That's barn philosophy as far as I'm concerned. And and the radio's not playing. I don't want to hear top Z100 nonsense. I don't want to hear any pop music. Shut it down.
See, I don't mind the radio because I might be dancing in the aisles.
Forget it.
Or maybe they're listening to our podcast. I don't know, Natalie, but
They have earbuds.
I like a lot of turnout. So
Yeah.
if the horses are out most of the day or the night and they just come into their stalls to eat, that's ideal for me.
Absolutely. I would not be able to support it a place that wasn't. I feel like as horse people, we know better now, right? We know horses should be turned out. We know they should be eating lots of roughage. Those are scientific, indisputable facts. So we should be putting those at the top of our list. Community withstanding, obviously, if you live in a city and you're looking at an urban barn, that might be a challenge, but that's a whole other story. So you put a horse care philosophy first, and then budget and commute have to come into it, right? You have to stick to your budget and you have to know that you can make the commute. And then everything else is kind of how you balance your amenities and stuff like that. But honestly, by the time you go through those three, there's probably only one barn in the neighborhood that works for you anyway. So your decision's been made. And if they don't have an arena, then, mark out something with cones and just learn field dressage. You'll be a better rider for it.
Actually, that actually teaches your horse to pay more attention to its feet anyway.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know. I think that's all really good stuff. I think everybody's going to look for something a little bit different because everyone's priority is a little bit different. But I think those are the big ones that really should go into everything. And I can't wait. Well, it'll be fun when we post the red flags episode based on true events.
Yeah. Nightmares on Barn Street.
Oh, cute. Oh, that's what we're gonna call it.
Okay.
Okay.
At
So
last,
Natalie,
I name an episode.
Well, I'm happy for you always because you're funnier at it than I am.
Oh, I
But I always
named
seem to
Damn,
be
I feel
doing the
like a
editing.
horse girl. That was a good
That-
one.
And that was one of our more popular episodes. So look at you. So adulting wins of the week, Natalie. I think I already know what you're going to say about yours.
I had a magical weekend with Heather.
Oh, I was hoping you'd say that. I thought you were going to say you got a haircut, but that's much better.
I mean, when you talk about adulting, a haircut is the most mundane, depressing adult thing you can do with your time. Might as well have gone, like, I don't know, got my teeth polished or something at the same time.
Certainly
Not
hope you get your
cleaned
dentist.
because that's important, but, polished. Like, oh, and I bought that
No
shirt I
LED.
wanted. I bought that shirt I wanted for half off, remember? All I had to do
The
was wait.
citrus shirt?
Yeah, I just had to wait 8 months and it went to half off. I will always get my man. If I just wait it out, I will get my clearance.
Alyssa actually did say it. Like, I wonder if she'll buy anything.
Mhm.
And we're like, well, maybe there's a sale. And you did buy something.
Yeah, I bought exactly
I was
what
actually,
wanted.
I was really good because I only bought one thing.
What
And
did
that
you
was
buy?
I bought the sun shirt, but it was like my brand colors, that like fuchsia
that's
pink.
Right. I
Remember?
forgot. It
we
right
were
there
taking a
next to
pee
you.
break.
Yes.
Yeah, we were headed to the bathroom. We like stopped through a shop and I
Mhm.
passed all the really good things and I only got that one thing.
Yeah.
So I exhibited self-control.
So you did not buy a Harry Potter wand at Universal?
We're not talking about that.
Uh-oh.
That's not the conversation we're talking about. I bought loads of stuff at Universal Studios.
Oh, boy.
God, why do you know me so well?
I was just waiting to talk about it. I just thought we were going to cover wizard stuff.
I did buy a wand. I did walk around waving it in Orlando at Universal. I went on every single ride with my awesome express pass.
Yay,
that
I'm
you had
really
recommended.
glad.
And the Harry Potter's Forbidden Journey is my all-time favorite ride so far. I went on it twice.
Oh, excellent.
It was really
I've never
great.
been to Universal Orlando, but I know a lot about it.
Yeah, well,
I can plan
was a lot of fun.
days there, but I've never been.
well, I'll take you maybe next time I come visit.
Nah, I don't want to go. Let's just go to Epcot and get drunk.
Don't
Better
me a good
yet,
time.
see, for me, I'll take you to a hotel next to Epcot and take you to the coolest bar ever and get you drunk there. Don't even have to
Done.
go in a theme park. I know my way around Orlando.
Done. We'll have to do that next time. Although I really didn't want to have to fly into Orlando again.
No. It would have to be a day trip. Oh, then we wouldn't be able to get drunk. We'd have to spend the night. We'd have to go to Orlando for a conference.
Yeah.
Like-
Actually, this is funny. Wait. So flying back was actually pretty perfect. It was not a problem at all. I met a Jersey girl in the airport who worked there.
Really?
was from
Someone from New
Freehold.
Jersey in Orlando.
Yeah.
That's
I know.
hard
Shocking.
to imagine.
Shush. So her name was Gianna, was like, okay, you're definitely from New Jersey. And then I got on the plane and the flight attendant was helping me get my bag up above. She wanted to do it. Okay, I didn't make her do it. And then she goes, you might need to help me. This is quite heavy. And I said, oh, sorry, it's full of books, which it wasn't because I sold half of them. But it was full of like tchotchkes that I got at Universal.
Oh my God.
And she goes, oh, what kind of books? Are you an author? I said, yes. And so later on, she was like, are you here for the romance conference?
Oh, yeah. There was a romance con.
We
Yeah.
should go to that sometime and meet like all the Fabio type characters. It'd be hilarious.
Well, I think it's one of those things where authors buy tables. And I don't know if they have like characters. I think it's you show up with all your books and people just like roam around buying books. Like romance fans will buy like 100 books at a time. So we should do that.
But when we have our
Our
collaboration.
different collections of books. Yeah.
Exactly.
Because I have thought about doing one. They seem pretty fun.
Thank you for being a little weird with us, Horse Girl. If you like what you hear, make sure to subscribe to our podcast on your player of choice. Follow us on Instagram at Adulting with Horses Podcast, or even better, join our Adulting with Horses Clubhouse on Facebook, where you can become part of the show. Also, it's a great place to meet other horse crazy women.